Welcome to the Path to a New Primer, and we're on our section about letter count, how to do the letter count. So letter count, you're going to use your language data worksheet, and you will be looking at the letters, the consonant clusters, and things on the language data worksheet that your team has prepared. And you can find information about this in Appendix A, page 129 of the Primer Construction Guide. So what is the letter count? And that we count the frequency of the letters and the letter clusters that make up the new words, the words in the language. And by this way, we find out what the building blocks are for the language and how frequently they're used. And we do this to help determine the order of the letter introduction in the primers. We'll use this to help us to choose words and things that are made with components that are frequent in the language, so that those will be the more frequent ones are used earlier on in the primers. So the first thing we're going to look at doing is choosing our text. And we usually recommend, because we have some Bible in print in the languages that we do LEI primers with, first, we recommend the Gospel of John, chapters 1 to 4, to do your letter count with. And several reasons for this. One, Gospel of John is often one of the first Gospels translated, not always, but if it is, it has a variety of writing styles in those first 4 chapters. It has historical poetry, descriptions, storytelling, those kinds of things, as a different variety of tenses, past, present, and future tenses. And you can always check, if you're wondering if Gospel of John in the language you're doing, you can always check with the Bible translators of that language for a digital copy, or you can go to www.scriptureearth.org, and sometimes BibleGateway.com also has, or BibleGateway.org also has some different Bible translations. If the Gospel of John is not available, try and use another scripture that's translated and available if you can, or you can also add in some other things that are written in the language as well. So the first thing, you're going to go on to that language data worksheet, and you're going to find all of in the language data worksheet, there's vowels, vowel clusters, consonants, and if there's any consonant clusters in the language, those will also be shown, and then any special groupings that are there. And so you're going to make a tally sheet, and the one's already made for you for this exercise that you'll be doing in the assignment section of the Google Classroom. But you're going to list all your vowels, vowel clusters, consonant and consonant clusters in alphabetical order in the list, and then you will be prepared to do your letter tally or letter count. So once you've got those all listed, you're going to take the text that you're using. In this case, this is the Gospel of John from the Ashakali language, and then you're going to prepare to count the letters. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go through, and at least for the first couple of verses, while you get used to looking for them, you wanted to underline all the vowel and consonant clusters. This is so you don't count them as individual letters. For instance, so like here, the UX is a consonant cluster, so we wouldn't count the U and the X separately, we count it as a unit. Same for the EX here, AX and OX. This just reminds you to count that as one unit. So then you're going to go through the text again, doing a tally of the letters and clusters for that word. For example, we're going to count all the tildes, and we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a fifth line that shows us a group of 5. So we've counted that letter 5 times and then 10 times. You're going to count each letter or cluster once per word. So for example, and I won't pronounce this right, so I won't even try. In this word that we have here, so we have the letter H, and it comes twice in the word, but we're only going to count it once. We have the letter I tilde. So in this case, it only occurs once in the word when we count it once. The N, once again, it occurs twice and we count it once. The A tilde occurs twice, but we count it once. And then the glottal stop, which acts as a letter, a sound, it occurs once and we count it once. And that way we're not counting so much how often those letters occur, but which letters are required to make up that word. In this case, well, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 letter word. 1, 2, 3, 4, only 5 letters are needed to make up that word. So then we're going to go through and make our letter count. So for the first letter, so we have the letter H. So you see that we put the 1 mark here, then O tilde, and we have 1 mark here. And we go to the M, and we put a tally mark by the M. We go to the A tilde, and we put a tally mark by that. We have the glottal mark, and we put a tally by that. We have the U tilde, and we put a tally mark by that. I, we put a tally mark by that. T, we put a tally mark by that. Now, what are we going to do with that next T? All right, remember our rule that if it occurs more than once in the word, we only count it once. So we're not going to put another tally mark there. We have A. We put a tally mark there. Then the P and a tally mark there. So you get the idea of how that's going to work. Now, I want you to go into, once you finish this video, you can go in your assignment, get your Mashakali tally sheet, and you can see a copy of the Gospel of John. And I want you to do the letter count for the first 4 verses of John from Mashakali, doing those letter counts like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So that you've got them in groups of 5. So you can do that once you finish the video. But then once you've finished doing the initial letter count, I want you to go through on your sheet where you've done your tallies. I want you to total the number that you have for each letter. So you'll do that for all of the letters. All of them will have some tally marks with them, some more than others. But they're not going to be in any frequency order. So then the next thing you want to do is in the assignment, there's an Excel spreadsheet. And I want you to go open that Excel spreadsheet, and then I want you to put the letters that are from the Mashakali tally sheet, and then put the number of times that letter appeared in the first 4 chapters of John. And so you're going to do that for all of the letters on the tally sheet. Now, there's a couple ways you can physically put them in the correct order yourself before you put them in the Excel spreadsheet, or you can go into the Excel spreadsheet and sort them yourself. So I'm not going to go into how to do that in this video. You can go onto the Google Sheets that you will have, and you can kind of try. Maybe in the class we'll show you how to do that. And then once you've put in your information, Then you will have a Google Sheet that shows your frequency order, but then I also want you to upload your tally sheet. You can take a picture of it and then upload the picture into Google Docs so that we can see how you made your tally marks and then your frequency order. So we'll talk a little bit about that during class, just to make sure you know what you're doing. But that's how we do the letter frequency count. And just a reminder, this is kind of the foundation for what we use to start our primer. It helps us know what order to introduce the letters and the letter clusters into the lessons in the primer. But it also helps us to understand how the language is put together. So thank you for your time and good luck with your letter counts.